Hey, First Church. As you guys know, the masking decision has been something we've wrestled with now for a year and a half. In fact, all of this COVID pandemic has been a wrestle. Sometimes there's been decisions that our leadership has made that people have agreed with. Other times they've not agreed with them. And last week, the CDC made some new recommendations, and we have been able to wrestle again. So I'm here this afternoon with our leadership and with others who have been part of this key conversation and some of the decisions we've been making along the way. I've got a lot of questions of, so what are we going to do now? Are we going to mask? Are we not going to mask? And I want to tell you, this has been a hard decision, a hard conversation to make. In fact, one that is still in process of being made. So I kind of figured the best thing we could do was to let you guys in on some of the conversation that our leadership is having, to let you in on hearing their heart and seeing some of the wrestling that's going on. What you're going to see is not a divided board. In fact, it is a united board in the fact that they are uniting in the fact that we love you guys, we love each other, and we know this isn't an easy decision to make. So that being the case, I'm going to open it up and let the leadership kind of share some of their thoughts and processes, and then I'll wrap us up when we're done conversing.
I wanted to share that I am really ready to be rid of the masks. But deep down, I am not sure it's the right thing to do. And as James has said, it is a wrestling match that goes on in my head and in my heart. And I really don't know that today or this weekend is the right time to make a cut and dried decision. I think this too will have to be a process in which we continue to see how more guidelines unfold and how the world around us reacts and accepts what has been given to us. So my heart at the present time is, even though I hate it, I'm going to keep wearing my mask for a little longer. I am going to wear it to protect others. I know that my mask doesn't really do anything to protect me, whether I'm vaccinated or not. It doesn't really help me. It helps those around me. So today, that's where I am, and that's not necessarily where I'm going to stay, but I look forward to smiling at you without my mask and hugging you in the very near future.
Hey, First Church. I'm having a tough time too. This is clearly a tough decision. I'm actually in the VA hospital right now, which is why I'm wearing my mask. I need to protect my patients. I need to protect those I work with. And that's just what I do here. And there's another reason that I'm masking too when I'm out and about. I've got four little girls that aren't able to unmask at this point in time. And as an example, I'm going to be leading by example, and I'm going to continue wearing my mask. And that to me is why I'm staying masked. And it's a tough decision. I don't like the mask. I don't like to smell my own breath. I like to read people's lips, and I get about 30% of my conversation from reading people's lips. But for me, it's important to stay masked to protect those around me. Just like Cindy said, it's not necessarily for me. It's for those that are around me that need that protection.
Well, I had a chance this week to meet with two different groups. And the first group that I met with was a small group from our church, actually. And we had this discussion. I believe most of that group was already fully vaccinated. And we feel comfortable enough to be around each other without having a mask on. However, they were probably a little bit more lenient to whatever the board decision is to mask or unmask, and they will follow and comply. but they are feeling like that now that they are vaccinated, that they are covered, and that they really don't need to have their mask on in the service, because we have been so good about staying in our pods and staying with those who are vaccinated already, that they feel comfortable enough to take their mask off. But there again, that's a trust issue. So if people are going to unmask, then I am going to trust that they are fully vaccinated. If they are going to if they're going to keep their mask on, then we're trusting that they're doing that because they're unvaccinated. So part of it is a trust issue, and part of it is that they feel more confident to do that now that they are vaccinated. So I am tending to lean toward giving people a choice to mask or unmask. The other group that I met with is not necessarily affiliated with our church, but meets in our building. And it's a larger group, probably of about 18 people. And I would say 95% of them are fully vaccinated, and they choose not to wear masks. So they feel very comfortable with the fact that they feel like they are covered, and that it's not an issue to give or transmit it. And that may or may not be correct, but they feel that they have the right to keep their mask off, and they feel that they are covered by being vaccinated. So that's where we stand.
So I've been struggling with this, looking at the CDC website and reading state guidelines. There is a lot of gray area, and it is not an easy decision. And the board, you can see, we all have heartbeats one way or another. And I think ultimately, we just love our congregation so much. What's really settled on me is how well, actually, what we learned at the Friendship Center with refugees is what's kind of settled on my heart. And that is when you introduce yourself to a refugee for the first time, there are different cultures involved. And so walking up and hugging someone could be culturally really inappropriate in some cultures. And so what we're taught is to let them lead. So if they walk up and put out their hand to shake your hand, you shake their hand. You don't give them a hug. You kind of let them guide where you're at. And so I am wondering if there's some sort of way that that's how we can move forward in this, is letting others kind of guide our choices and let love guide our choice. And if the people around us are masking and what we're seeing is that they feel more comfortable masked, then we choose to put our mask on, not because it's demanded of us, but because we want to be led by love and let the people around us kind of lead our decisions. If everyone around us, or we're in a group, like Debbie said, where everybody's fully vaccinated and they feel really comfortable without a mask, then maybe that's we let them guide our decision. And if we also feel comfortable doing that, then that's what we fall into too. But it's just, it's a hard thing. It's a gray area. There's a lot up in the air.
Earlier this week, Pastor James called me to ask what I thought about the CDC guidelines as a physician. And I've really struggled with how to approach it. And I understand the feeling that we want to be rid of the masks. And there are those, some are vaccinated and feel comfortable, and some are not vaccinated but still feel comfortable. But there are those who, whether or not some unvaccinated, but even some who are vaccinated who still feel vulnerable. And as I thought through it, to me, I feel it's our responsibility as a church to create a safe place for those who feel vulnerable. And that's where I came down, is what can we do to be sure that those who feel vulnerable feel safe? And for me, that means I probably need to keep wearing my mask, even if I personally feel that I'm protected. That led me to look a bit for some biblical, maybe biblical backing or biblical inspiration. And Philippians 2 verse 4 is, let each of you look not only to his own interests, but also to the interests of others. And for me, that's what's driving my sense of where we should be now.
Dr. Frank, thank you. Kyle, Debbie, Christy, Cindy, you guys are a representation of the board, and you're not the entire board, you're not the entire cabinet, but you guys are representing some of these differing views. It's a wrestling match. Christy, I love that you said, hey, there's a lot of gray area. I actually pushed back right away because I read all the documents, right, that we've had access to, and I took 2 different color highlighters. It's no longer gray. One's really yellow and one's really orange. And in the same document, you could argue either direction. So we had a lengthy conversation last night as a board. And we did not come down to a hard and firm decision of we're going to say mask or we're going to not say mask. But what we came down to, Christy mentioned, is love. That's part of our purposes of a church. We want to love God, love others, and make disciples. Part of loving others may be giving up our own rights and putting a mask on so they feel more comfortable. It's that safe place for the vulnerable that Dr. Frank was mentioning. I was thinking through the small book, the small letter of Philemon, and how the Apostle Paul said, I have a right to ask you to do this, but because of love, I'm not going to. And that had nothing to do with mask or not mask, or vaccinate or not vaccinate, but the heart behind that really is what struck me. So I've been asking the question, what does love require of us? What's the most loving thing that we as a church can do? And as a board, without drawing a hard and firm line in the sand, last night we came down to the decision that we want to ask that you guys as a church would really think through what the loving thing to do is. And we would ask that for the next couple of weeks, at least, we continue to mask. We're doing that not to take away your rights, but because we know that there are people who feel vulnerable, who may not come if they know that there's going to be others who are not wearing a mask. And we want to create that safe place for people to interact with God. This pandemic is still very real. In fact, those on the call won't even know I'm going to say this yet. We had one person diagnosed positive who was in the building on Sunday. Got a positive test on Monday evening, and we have another person who is feeling kind of crummy and got a test this morning, and we'll find out the answer tomorrow. So this is still very real. So as we've wrestled through how to best love each other, how to best create that space for the vulnerable, as a leadership, we're gonna recommend that you stay masked for the next couple of weeks, and we will come back and talk to you again so that everybody's clear as we move forward. As we said all along, this is a hard decision to make. We know that there's going to be some people who agree and some people who don't agree. Let's choose love as we're interacting with each other, and let's make sure that is what guides us. First Church, thank you. We know that there's a lot of churches in this town that you could be part of. There's churches that aren't wearing masks that you could absolutely go and be a part of, and they love Jesus just as much as we do. But for some reason, you continue to choose to be part of this family of faith, and we love that. We see you as family. We see you as brothers and sisters in Christ. And even though family members don't always get along, at the end of the night, they still wrap their arms around each other, COVID compliant safe, right? And give give a big hug. So we love you. We look forward to continue worshiping with you, whether that is in person or virtually. We're still going to have the virtual online church going, is going to go live and strong like it's been going. And if you have any questions at all, you have any concerns, I would encourage you guys to not just email me, but if you email me, I'm going to forward it on to Kyle as well as our delegate. The two of us will respond to different emails. We may even have other board members do the same thing. So we're shouldering this as a leadership team that You First Church has nominated to help lead and guide. And we thank you for your trust in that. And as you guys have been, we are praying that God would bring a quick and swift end to this, and that we would not miss out on what he's doing in the middle of this process. We will talk to you guys again soon. Thank you.